The Whispers of Destiny, The Staff Awakens. By Avery Young. Chapter 1. Eye-opening. When I first opened my eyes, I didn't cry like a newborn should. I didn't scream or wail. Instead, I stared up at the sky that was too blue to be real, the type of blue you only see in paintings. It was like someone had taken the brightest colors of the world and splashed them across the heavens. I should have been terrified, confused at the very least, but all I felt was exhaustion. In my past life, I was Jenny. Dark-skinned, blue-haired Jenny who tried so hard to blend into the background that she nearly forgot how to live. Now I was someone else? A baby, for one thing I knew. I possessed red hair and freckles. I looked nothing like the girl who had once stood frozen in a world that never showed her any kindness. I started to remember everything. The pain, the hopelessness, the way I was used until there was nothing left of me. Finally, that last act of courage, jumping in front of a bullet meant for someone else. It didn't feel like courage at the time, just a way to make my world stop hurting. And now I was here. Wherever here was. As I laid swaddled in something soft and warm, I caught glimpses of the world around me. Strange trees with twisting trunks and vibrant leaves towered overhead, casting dancing shadows on the ground. The air smelled sweet, a mix of flowers and something blissful, like the smell of newly pollinated life. My tiny fingers wiggled against the fabric, and I could hear the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze. I wasn't alone. A woman was there, her face kind and warm, framed by wild curls of auburn hair. I felt her gentle hands cradling me, and even in my infancy, I felt an odd sense of safety. "Kaida," she whispered, her voice a soothing melody. "Welcome to our home, little one." The bright blouse draped over her. I knew this was my mother. Kaida. The name echoed in my mind like a sweet promise, a new beginning. "Kaida," she repeated, stroking my cheek. "You're going to grow up strong, I just know it." I could hear other voices nearby. Laughter, shouts, and the unmistakable sound of children playing. I felt a tug deep in my chest. Siblings? Did I have siblings? As I looked around, even in infancy my new mom could see I was in thought. "Your brothers and sisters are waiting to meet you, my little one." My heart swelled with anticipation. Brothers and sisters. Family. It felt foreign, but so familiar. Before I could dwell on the sensation, two faces leaned over me. A boy with tousled brown hair and hazel eyes. The other was a girl with curly dark hair and a playful grin. "Can I hold her?" the girl asked, her eyes widen with excitement. "Careful, Ira," a strong-toned man said. His piercing eye scolded her with a sense of protection. I figured this was my dear father. I stared at everyone, wondering how my new life would be now in this beautiful world. As my siblings scampered off, I felt a wave of warmth wash over me. This was a new beginning, but deep down the memories of being Jenny and not knowing how the lives back home had haunted me. Days turned into weeks, and as I grew, the world around me became more vibrant and alive. The continent I now called home was known as Linera, a land blessed with lush forests, shimmering waters, and beautiful mountains. The people here embraced magic as a way of life, and I learned that each child receives a staff on their 5th birthday. An object imbued with the essence of magic, the fate of the world would choose for them. For what I learned, the staff held one of the 6 world powers: fire, air, water, earth, light, and dark magic. Each of the world powers had its own affinity. Terraria, where the earth was rich and fertile. Aetheris, known for its windswept heights. Ignitia, lands of super furry volcanoes. Aquavia, surrounded by tranquil waters. Nocturnia, steeped in darkness and mystery. Finally, Linera, the continent I was born into. It was as bright and held many pure white stones gilding up the foundations of houses. Each continent was governed by its own king or queen, and the balance between them was crucial. If one power sought to dominance over the others, chaos could erupt. My mother often told stories of the old magic and harmony. One day, Kaida, she would say, her eyes sparkling, you will learn to wield your own magic. You will find your place among the stars. My mind always stayed on to Jenny as I grew. The girl who had jumped in front of a bullet, the girl who had made choices she could not take back. I wanted to believe in the new life, in the magic of Lanera, but every time I felt a flicker of hope. The shadow of my past whispered doubts in my ear. One sunny afternoon, while exploring our lush garden with my siblings, I spotted a small glimmering object partially buried in the soil. Curiosity piqued, I knelt to dig it out. As I unearthed it, I found a delicate silver pendant, shaped like a star. I held it in my palm, marveling at how it caught the sunlight scattering rainbows across the ground. What's that? Ira asked, her eyes wide. Eric, my brother, and the twin to Ira said the same thing. I don't know, I replied, turning it over with my small 3-year-old hands. The star was delicate but old, the edges worn smooth by the time I picked it up. It looked like it had been waiting for someone to find it. It has felt so familiar in a way. In the instant, the world seemed to lift around me. A sharp breeze kicked up, tugging my furry red hair, and the warmth of the sun felt distant. My surroundings blurred as flashes of memories, not from this life, but from my old one flooded my space. Suddenly, I was back in the cold, gray streets of Philadelphia. I hadn't seen this place in years. It was raining, the downpour relentless, soaking through my clothes as I huddled beneath a narrowing awning. In this memory, I wasn't Kaida. I was Jenny again, dark skin, drenched glue hair sticking to my face, and a gnawing hunger that twisted my stomach into knots. It had been like this for weeks. No food, no shelter, no hope. I had gotten used to surviving off scraps and stealing what I could to get by. But that night, I had nothing left in me. My feet carried me to the edge of nowhere, where no one cared to look. And then, she had found me. Lillian, her hand had reached out to me through the rain, her voice soft and full of warmth. Come with me, she had said. I can help you. I had followed her without hesitation. She had given me food, a place to sleep, and for the first time in years, I had felt safe. Or so I had thought. Nothing in life comes without a price. Lillian had used me. She hadn't cared for me, just what I could do for her. In the end, I had no more to give. I had been disregarded like everyone else she no longer needed. Yet, dispute it all, I still saw her as family. Enough so to take a bullet meant for her, enough to give up the little life I had left in an instant of blind, desperate hope that she could live peacefully. I gasped, the memory so vivid I could almost feel the sharp sting of the bullet tearing through my chest once again. The pendant slipped from my fingers, landing on the lushly grass below. Kaida, my brother called, concern creasing his brow. Are you okay? I stammered, my heart racing. The air felt heavy around me, suffocating. Bubba was all I could say, still shaken up. I stumbled away from the garden, the weight of the past pressing down on my chest. The memory had felt too real, too vivid, as though I had been living it all over again. This wasn't Jenny's world. It was Lanera. I was Kaida now. Wasn't I? I stepped inside, the house familiar warmth of our home wrapped around me, but it did little to ease the pounding in my chest. The voices of my siblings echoed from the gardens, their carefree laughter, an unsettling contrast to the storm raging in my mind. Why had the pendant triggered such memories? And why, after all this time, did me as Jenny finally matter? Kaida, a soft voice broke through my thoughts. I turned to see my mother standing in the doorway, her expression filled with concern. What's wrong? All I could do was reach and cry as Ira explained. I grabbed a pendant in the dirt. The tears of years finally overflowing me as I sulked into my mother's embrace. My mom went on to say, this old thing." I nodded my head hard. "It's a relic of the old magic." It was said that these pendants were once worn by seers. They could see fate and destiny itself. They were believed to be long lost, or at least that was what stories said. Why would it be here, I thought. Something like this is too rare to be chance. My mother let go of my shoulders. Her tender touch went to my tiny hands as she put the fingers around the pendant and said, "Kaida, you're special. Way more than you realize. There will be a great reason a staff chooses you, and there's a great reason this pendant found its way to you." Her words hung in the air between us, heavy with meaning I couldn't quite grasp. My heart arched with the weight of my past, but the whisper of my future looked large now. Later that night, as the house grew quiet and the flickering light of the candles cast a shadow on the wall, I lay in my bed, staring at the ceiling. The pendant was hidden beneath my pillow, but I could still feel its presence, a faint hum of energy that seemed to call to me even now. I never had a life so divided. Half of me longed to be free of Jenny's memories, to fully embrace this new life and forget the pain of my past. The other half feared that without those memories, I would lose the very thing that made me who I was. Could I truly leave Jenny behind, or was she always going to be a part of me, haunting me no matter where I went? The stars outside twinkled brightly through the window, casting their light over the room. As I watched them, I thought about the 6 kingdoms, each with its own magic and own power. I wondered which one would hold the key to my future and why I was here and not dead. Whether my destiny lay within the stars or in the shadows. For whatever I'm here, I'll make this life worth living.